Hey everybody. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what you guys are going to be doing this week. Specifically, of course, today we are going to be starting dystopian and utopian societies. We're going to be reading a short story called The Machine Stops by E.M. Forster. Before we get into reading, of course, we want to make sure that everybody knows what a dystopia is, what it looks like, all the traits and the aspects. I won't be talking too much about the politics of it this week, just because we will be reading a novel called Anthem by Ayn Rand, and in that is where we really start talking about the politics. This one is more about just the societal aspects of it, and just kind of understanding what the world looks like in this dystopian society. I want to really engage with you guys, so I will be making these videos and talking a lot when we do start reading. But for now, you're going to spend this week really just focusing on what it is, what it looks like, how we see it in our everyday lives, how we see it in literature, how we see it in movies. And you guys are very familiar with things like The Giver, The Hunger Games, the Divergent series. All of those are dystopian societies. And so you're going to really kind of use all of that knowledge that you have about those things, and then of course any type of books that you've read before or short stories that you've read before, to really kind of build a dystopian definition. Obviously, I know that you can go on the internet and look for it, but I already know what the internet has to say. What I want to know is what you have to say about what a dystopian society looks like. So really put the effort in when you're watching the videos today. You'll have 4 video clips to watch. Each of them will have a set of questions at the end, asking you what was going on, who was doing what to who else or whom else, why were they doing it, and just kind of what kind of traits do you see. And that's a big deal because they don't all look like our world. Some of it does look like our world, but a lot of it is very futuristic, and that's the whole thing about dystopias. While we kind of are in a dystopia, and a sort of dystopia, more of like a political dystopia, they're in a social dystopia, and so you'll see some things that look very similar. You'll also see some things that don't look like anything that we have in our world now. You really have to think about the advances in technology, which is obviously very relevant to what we're doing right now. You're looking at me through technology. We use our phones all the time. We use any type of device that we can. You're going to school online right now, so technology is super common in our modern era. But we haven't quite reached the level of a dystopia socially and technologically. Fingers crossed we don't ever reach that, but it is something that is very commonly written about, because it does look like that's where we're going. The short story that you're going to be reading next week, I think I'm going to wait until next week, it was written in 1909, so of course you can imagine that this was way before any type of technology was around, other than the telephone. I think the telephone had just been made, and AT&T, which is the American Telephone and Telegraph, was setting up wires across the sky, kind of just really impacting the way people saw the world. They had before been used to walking into somebody's house and talking to them or sending them a letter, but there was no real pick up a phone and call. So these are things that I want you to think about as you're going through today's and tomorrow's assignments. We are going to be building our own definition of dystopia based on what we see. In your exit ticket, which is your first graded assignment for this week, I'm going to be asking you to name the traits of a dystopia, things that you would like to know about dystopias, and then your working definition of a dystopia. Not the internet's. I don't want to have to copy and paste yours into the internet and see that you just Googled it and wrote it down. I don't care what the internet has to say. I care what you have to say based on what you're using your brain to figure out. So please do your best. If you have any questions, concerns, or anything of that nature, you can send me a text message. My number is in the contact me section. You can send me an email. You can send me a remind. Please join Remind if you have not done so already. And then you can also join my office hours, which are 8th period. That will be under a little tab called Office Hours. Other than that, I think that's it for this week. Please don't forget to do your attendance. I say it for this week. I meant it for today. Please don't forget to do your attendance. Please make sure that you go through each of the assignments and finish them by 11:59 tonight. I think the longest video that you're watching today is 14 minutes, so you should get plenty of time in my class today. You shouldn't have to worry about making up those 20 minutes that you're supposed to be in each class period, okay? Again, if you need anything, reach out to me, and I look forward to seeing you guys and talking to you guys and just kind of seeing what your feedback is about dystopias as this week progresses and then as we go into next week. So I will see all of y'all very soon.